Hey guys, so I thought I'd do a review of If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. Now, this movie was pretty under the radar. I was just not having a great day, so I looked up movies near me, and I saw this movie, and that it was made by A24. And every time an A24 movie comes out, it catches my eye. I keep an eye out for it, whether or not it has good ratings, because I tend to very much like A24 movies. A lot of times because it's a lot more character focused, the stories feel more real and grounded, but then also cinematography. I'm a big fan for cinematography, and if a movie has that, it's a great plus for me because it just adds so much more to the experience. So I was hoping this movie was going to be a good time, and it was. Um, I went in there with pretty much zero expectations. All I knew was like a little snippet I read off Reddit where it was like a good example of somebody with a disorganized, insecure attachment style. Um, and I saw that the reviews were pretty good. It had 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Now I know Rotten Tomatoes is more like whether or not the movie was like somewhat enjoyable, right? But still, that was a good sign. And so I went in and I started watching the movie, and pretty much right away I was like, okay, this movie has something to it. Um, like one thing in particular I'll talk about is that scene with the ceiling. Um, there was a particular snippet that I actually recorded, and I'm so glad I recorded that scene. Was when she's like staring into the ceiling, and then suddenly she starts getting into this sort of like hypnotic state. You see all these shimmering lights. It's almost like she's about to faint or something. And then you hear these memories of her talking, and I just loved it because one, it was like very real, and then you got an immediate sense of where she's at mentally, and the kind of struggles she deals with. Where it's like it's not just a general struggle; it's like she's dealing with a struggle every single day. She like says it in that snippet. She says like, you know, what is like the meaning of life, or it's like how do I when does it end, and she's like it never ends. It's like a day to every day is a struggle. um and then it like does this quick snapback to her in her bed, and then the title card. um but yeah, um it starts off and you're already kind of unnerved by her character a little bit, simply because there's like the scene with the pizza. I wanted to bring that up just because like how much it caught my eye, or just how much it like kind of made me cringe a little bit. Was with the scene with her daughter and her get a pizza, and you never see her daughter's face, which I thought really added to the story. I thought that was a really good element, because it mainly just focuses on her, and then the daughter's presence, or how the daughter's presence impacts the mother. Um, but I'll get into that later. But the scene with the pizza, like she's already having a hectic day, and then the pizza falls down, and then you see all the cheese has just come off the pizza, and it'd be understandable to see if she were frustrated, but she takes it on the chin really well, and she basically laughs it off and laughs it with her daughter. Um, they get home, and then she just eats the cheese. She literally just grabs a chunk of the cheese and just starts eating it. And it doesn't look like the best cheese either. And you just hear the noises of her chewing it. Um, and I know that was done intentionally, or at least I think it was done intentionally to kind of show, you know, okay, this character is like a little out of frequency with other people. She's kind of on her own wavelength a little bit. Um, and then you see her daughter calling, um, or crying out because there's water all over the bathroom floor, and she kind of takes a little bit of time to get to her daughter, and then once she sees the water, her daughter's panicking. She's like, "Am I gonna die? What's gonna happen?" And then she's just walking out. She's kind of like very aloof, nonchalant, to her daughter's like cries. She's just like, yeah, just sit there, blah blah blah. She's like barely even acknowledging her sometimes. And she looks in her room, and then yeah, I just wanted to point that out. It's like from the very beginning, you can kind of see like maybe she's like a little bit inattentive to her daughter at times. Just because, like, I mean, her daughter is like very, she is a kid and she's obviously over worrying about this water flooding on the bathroom floor. Um, but she is feeling frantic. She is feeling like she's very scared. Like she's worried that she might die. Um, and her mom is just kind of like, yeah, and she's just kind of like looking at what's happening with the ceiling. Um, but to move on to the next thing, um, I thought the character who played the mom, Rose Byrne, I thought she did magnificent. Like that's literally the word I would use. She did amazing. She embodied that character so well, but also she portrayed issues with mental health, and then just someone who's overworked, underslept, uh, so well. Somebody who's so anxious, somebody who's so stressed. She really like it was like an Oscar worthy performance. I find it a little cringe to say Oscar worthy because personally, like, Oscars seem kind of elitist a little bit. But yeah, she did freaking amazing. Yeah. And then there was Conan O'Brien there too, which is a little surprising. I didn't really realize he was trying to get into acting. Um, but yeah, he played a therapist who was like a little bit antagonistic. Um, he wasn't so like confrontational or like he wasn't fighting with her or anything. There was one, kind of arguing scene, but there's something off with their relationship, and it's just like he's a little too indifferent with her at times, and indifferent is kind of putting it lightly. There's some negativity going on with him, but he's been her therapist for a while, and you can kind of see how I don't want to say broken or messed up she is, right? Because nobody's like broken or anything, right? Um, but he's been seeing her, or he's probably been working with her for a while now, and it seems like she's got a very stressful life, and then also it's like she might not be doing herself too many favors either. She might not be working too much to improve them. But the thing is, her life is very frantic. She's overworked. And her husband doesn't seem like he's too in the picture. You find out later that he's in the military, but like when she's on the phone calls with him, he sounds kind of patronizing. um, and then like he sounds patronizing, but then also like indifferent as well to her problems. He was like, oh, you're just sitting around. Like on the phone, he was like, hey, I trade places with you in like a minute. Like I would love to like sit at home and cook and blah blah blah. But she's over there like struggling and stressing, and it's like it really feels like her day is like minute by minute. It's one thing to another. It's another thing and then another. Um, yeah, and so it doesn't seem like she has the best support system either. But again, accountability needs to be a thing. Um, but I do understand mental health struggles. Personally, like I really sympathize with this character. This movie did a really good job of making you empathize with her. Um, and let me see one more thing. Um, yes. There was another aspect of this movie, which was ASAP Rocky. Now, I was really caught off guard with ASAP Rocky's appearance. Did not know he was in the movie. The thing is, he did not do a bad job at all. If anything, he added to the movie quite a bit. Like, not quite a bit, but, like, he added some comedic relief. And it was very, it felt very natural to the movie. At first, I couldn't tell what kind of relationship they were going to have. I thought, maybe because I'm kind of aware of these types of personality styles, and like some things that can happen with like these types of mental health issues. I thought she might end up, cheating on her husband. That sounds strong, right? But I could have seen it happening kind of. Um, I couldn't tell if it was just like a friendship. I felt like ASAP Rocky might be trying to flirt with her. Um, but it looks like it was more friendly a little bit. But like he added like a good comedy relief to the movie. And like that scene where they're searching for drugs, I thought he was like calling her into her motel room to like, you know, have sex or something, but it turns out they're just going on the black market to buy fucking cocaine and Molly. Um, while, you know, her daughter's in the other room. Um, and then there's another thing as well. Um, I think like that scene where her husband's just coming back and the mom kind of knows she's fucked up, but then like ASAP Rocky's ends up being in the room with her daughter, and he's like, I thought that was actually that was pretty well done. Um, the only thing is like, I felt like this movie, or actually, let me get to that in a minute. After that scene, where ASAP Rocky and the husband like confront each other, she just runs off to the beach. I thought that was perfect. That was like a perfect sort of like, uh, it all came back around moment, because you know she had a patient who did a similar thing, and you can see she's like, you know, you can't judge um, these characters because you clearly see what they're going through. I thought that was done really well. She's just like, she knows she's fucked up, or she feels like she fucked up pretty bad, and the only thing she feels like she can do is just run away, and just maybe punish herself because she just keeps crashing herself into the waves at the beach at night, and the water's probably cold. Um, but that's the thing. I felt like, you know, I didn't like, while the movie was pretty enjoyable, cinematography was great. Um, I felt like it didn't wrap up completely. You know, it ends with finally showing the daughter's face, and I'm not sure whether or not this is like a dream sequence, or just kind of like her imagining in her head. But basically, the daughter comes into her field of vision, and the mom says, "I'll do better." Um, but the thing is, you know, you can't really trust that too much. You know, the mom's going to continue struggling, which is fine, right? You know, this is somebody who struggles with mental health, and that's a very sympathetic thing. Um, but the thing is, I didn't like. It just felt like there was something missing. Maybe that's the only thing I have with this movie. It would have been perfect otherwise. I just felt like it didn't wrap up completely. I felt like there was something missing, um, and that's really the only thing I didn't like about the movie. Also, I felt like it could have been maybe 10 to 15 minutes shorter. There was one or two scenes that felt like it maybe dragged a little bit. But that's the only thing. Other than that, great movie. I would rate it 9 out of 10 if I could. But yeah,